Welcome to the first installment of a series based on church history. In today's video, I will be covering the Jewish Revolt and the Maccabee family. The first Christians were first century Jews, also known as apocalyptic Jewish Christians. They were the first to hear and to receive the gospel. The faith then spread first amongst the Jews and then eventually amongst the Gentiles within and beyond the borders of the Roman Empire. Christianity first appeared in the land of Palestine. Palestine has also been long known as being a land of strife and suffering. The inhabitants of Palestine repeatedly suffered invasion, bondage, and exile. Alexander the Great became the master or leader of Palestine after he defeated the Persians. Shortly after he died and his vast empire was dismembered, Alexander's intention was not solely to conquer the world, but to unite the world and enrich it by spreading the insights of Greek civilization. Hellenism, known as ancient Greek culture, helped to open the way to the Roman conquest, the invasion and control of, followed later by the preaching of the gospel. Many Jews did not embrace Hellenism because part of the Hellenistic ideology consisted of mixing the gods of different nations, and they saw it as a threat to their faith in the one true and living God. In the 2nd century, there was a Jewish rebellion led by a family known as the Maccabees. The Maccabees were able for a while to gain a measure of political, religious independence. In 198 BC, when Antiochus III defeated the Egyptians, he incorporated Judah into his empire. Initially, he continued to allow the Jews autonomy, but after being defeated by the Romans, he began to incorporate a Hellenization program that threatened to force the Jews to abandon their belief in the one true God, which was the God of Israel, for Greek paganism. However, the Jews opposed him, and he finally did back down when they stood up against him for trying to introduce idols into the temple of God. However, when Antiochus IV inherited the throne in 176 BC, he resumed his father's original policy without accepting the Jews. The Jewish rebellion only further hardened Antiochus's views and stance on the matter. He outlawed central tenets of Judaism, such as the Sabbath and circumcision. He also defiled the temple of God by erecting an altar to the god of Zeus, which allowed the sacrifice of pigs and opening the shrine to non-Jews. Even though many of the Jews had been seduced by the virtues of Hellenism, the extreme measures that were put into place helped to unite the people. When one of the Greek officials tried to force Mattathias to make a sacrifice to one of their pagan gods, Mattathias murdered the official. Antiochus began reprisals, but the Jews rose up behind Mattathias and his 5 sons, and they fought for their freedom. Mattathias and his family became known as the Maccabees, meaning hammer, because they were said to strike hammer blows against their enemies. However, the Jews referred to the Maccabees as the family more commonly known as the Hasmoneans. Antiochus underestimated the will and strength of the Jews. He sent a small army force to stop the rebellion, and when that did not work, he himself then led a more powerful army into the battle, only to be defeated. Jerusalem was recaptured by the Maccabees in 164 BCE, and the temple was also purified. Out of this event, Hanukkah was born. It took at least 2 decades for the Maccabees to force the Seleucids out of the land. By this time, Antiochus was deceased, and his successor had agreed to the Jews' demand for their right to freedom. Finally, in 142 BCE, after more than 500 years subjugation, the Jews were finally once again free from their captives. After Mattathias' death, the revolt was led by his son Judah Maccabee, and by the end of the war, Simon was the only one of his 5 sons to survive. He later went on to usher in an 80-year period of Jewish independence in Judea. Not only were they able to reclaim the throne of Judah, they were also able to reclaim the post of high priest. It wasn't too long for rival factions to develop amongst the Jews. Their unity was threatened. Internal divisions and another imperial power would go on to put an end to the Jewish independence in the land of Israel for nearly 2 centuries. See you next time for the next church history video.